David Rockwell, the architect, is here. He was first introduced to the theater when his mother, a former vaudeville dancer, cast him in production of The King and I when he was only 9. He went on to create an architecture and design firm known for its theatricality-inspired designs. He's also recently designed the set for the Broadway musical Hairspray. Here is a look at his work. New book, Pleasure, is a compilation of some of his most notable designs. We'll talk about that later. I'm pleased to have David Rockwell back at this table. This is the hottest thing on Broadway, Hairspray?
It's a big, big hit. Yeah. Who knew?
Who knew? I mean, how did you get involved in this?
It's
David Rockwell, architect.
It's kind of a dream come true project. Theater was always a love. And I started to meet with directors and developed a dialogue and pursued a number of projects, had things I was going after that didn't happen. And when I was approached about Hairspray, I listened to the music, and I was totally hooked. I knew I had to do it. And then I went to Baltimore with the director, John Waters, and got his very surreal look at Baltimore, which hasn't changed a lot since 1962, when the play took place.
But didn't you insist on being involved in the details, or you wouldn't do it?
Absolutely. For me, I'd always thought about architecture sort of spinning and dancing and moving, and theater is the way we've been able to do that. So yeah, we're involved in every single detail, and it was a real labor of love.
Vanoli was here last night, and you saw him.
Yeah.
He's head of he's a central member of the Think team.
Right.
What's your role?
Well, our role on the Think team essentially is as a collaborator. I guess if you think of being in an orchestra, but not actually being the conductor.
Yes.
But it's the fact is our role in the Think team and all the work downtown is extraordinarily personal, and it grows out of downtown New York being my home, where I raised my family, and it's not work that started with a request for a proposal for Ground Zero. It started September 12th, and it's just it's an extraordinary time to try and be a part of acknowledging the loss. And at the same time, not just the vision for Ground Zero, but a vision for pieces of downtown that will trigger its kind of rebirth.
On September 10th?
September 12th.
September 11th, you were where?
I was walking to my office on 14th Street when the second plane hit. And my family, my wife, and I had one child at the time, I have two now, live 12 blocks away. Yeah. So I went up to the roof of our offices on 14th Street. And the entire office were about 100 people, just couldn't believe what we were seeing, and actually had trouble for many weeks after that making sense of finding relevance in the day-to-day stuff that we do, given this huge destruction.
And then how did you get involved with the Think team, the group that is one of the two finalists?
Our first project in downtown was actually the viewing platform,
right, exactly.
Which grew out of the city coming to us looking for a way to manage crowds.
Now, why would they come to you? I mean, not that they shouldn't, but why would they?
Well, they came to us because we had done some work for PS 234, which was a school that was evacuated in Tribeca. They moved into a temporary school on 13th Street, and the principal came to me and said, would we help make the school less depressing, more uplifting for the children? And I went there and took a look, and I realized that all of the trouble we were finding having relevance would be solved by actually making and by building, and that creating was the answer to destruction. So we had 20 people from our office, Tom Otterness, who's an artist you may know, Myra Kalman, and in 4 days we did a kind of Tribeca barn raising and rebuilt the school, and that led to the city talking to us about the crowds downtown. And we spoke to Elizabeth Diller and Rick Scafidio and Kevin Kennan, 3 other architects, and decided, do you remember at that time, right after September 11th, there was a lot of speculation, rebuild them bigger, don't rebuild them. And we felt like there hadn't been a chance to even understand the magnitude of the disaster, and it wasn't a time to speculate, it was a time to take action. So we formed a foundation, we raised the money privately, and in 100 days, designed and built the viewing platform.
All right, let me show it right now. Here is the World Trade Center viewing platform designed by David Rockwell's company. There it is.
Actually, in collaboration with Diller and Scofidio and
Okay,
Kevin Kenner.
fair enough. Give them credit. East River Park, view from the river.
It's a project that, again, we're responding to the city, and we're working in partnership here with Rick Scofidio and Liz Diller. And it's fascinating to think about how to redefine the waterfront in New York.
Yeah.
And when you think about downtown New York, New York's surrounded by water.
It is the most amazing thing that I know. I mean, I've got some friends that care deeply about that, including, I'm chairman of the Planning Commission. And
You can't get to the water.
I know. This is a city that's dramatically in need, and I think it's going to get it, of figuring out how to use this extraordinary
Yep.
opportunity.
Yep. And one of the challenges that we try to address here is how do you maximize the contact that the community locally, that people globally have with the water, and minimize the impact of the environment.
Yeah.
So it led us to a solution that's largely barges.
Reaching out into the water.
Reaching out into the water with a series of activities.
Which is what Battery Park City was, in fact.
Battery Park City was landfill, essentially.
Right.
This is a series of floating barges.
I understand, but you're going out into the water,
Yep.
basically what they're doing. Okay, the next is East River from a different view. Let's see it. There you go.
You see from the south a
Right.
public beach,
Right.
a hydroponic garden, about a 3-acre forest.
Now, when is this going to happen?
Well, hopefully the next step is going to be to start to develop this with the city and start to get into the
Has it
detailed
been approved,
discussion.
though?
No, it has not been approved. It was part of Bloomberg's, Mayor Bloomberg and Dan Doctorow's vision for
Lower Manhattan.
Lower Manhattan that he presented.
Exactly.
And
So, okay, but help me understand. So, the mayor, in a very good speech, called for the revitalization of Lower Manhattan and,
Yep.
and looking at it in all of its aspects, including Ground Zero.
Yep.
So, what, you heard that and you said, let's get involved, or what?
No, actually, Dan Doctorow had approached us because of some work we did for Cirque du Soleil in Hong Kong.
Right.
And he asked if we thought Cirque du Soleil would be interested. And of course, Cirque du Soleil is thrilled about trying to participate in the redevelopment of the waterfront. And we talked about it, and then the city asked us with Diller and Scofidio to develop this.
All right. I'm going to look at a bunch of things here, only because you get this. You do so much in such a variety of forum. Okay, let's go to Montefiore Children's Hospital. There it is.
Poorest section in the Bronx.
Right.
And a chance to use design as a way to humanize a terrifying experience for family and children. So it was one of the most satisfying design experiences. We're about 100 people at Rockwell Group, and everyone was interested in participating in this project.
Next slide. This is a walkway.
That's the base of the lobby, and it's a 2-story Foucault's pendulum developed by Tom Otterness.
Yeah. Next slide. This is the Kodak Theater.
Right.
Yeah. There it is. We talked about that earlier. This is where the Oscars would be held. How long was this in the making?
About 5 years.
Next is Mohegan Sun Casino, an interior of the Mohegan Sun Theater.
It's about
Casino.
About a 4 million square foot project. Surely the biggest scale we'll get a chance to paint on, and it was a chance to take their culture and weave it into every detail that you see.
Next one is the Mohegan Sun again, sitting area.
Very obsessive. 6 millimeter alabaster, creating a room that you inhabit.
So what the hell is David Rockwell about? I mean, here's what this interesting guy, you, who is doing everything. There is a theater. There is downtown. There is Hairspray. There is a hotel. Before Hairspray, there was some other project you were involved in on Broadway.
Right.
What is it about you?
I think it is about, number one, a drive for invention and a commitment or an obsession, whatever you want to call it, to be right on the edge between excited and terrified, and finding new territory and using design as a way to create a sense of delight. I think the thing that links all the work together,
My question, go ahead.
is that there is a drive to create design that is making deeper connections, triggering memories, allowing people to dream, and what drives us is newness and new challenges.
Okay, that may answer my question, but when you look at all this, what has been the most significant defining influence on you to have the kinds of visions you do?
I suppose the early on influence was growing up in a family where theater was the predominant art form.
Right.
But we moved when I was 10 to Guadalajara, Mexico, and I think it transformed my thought about theater from just what happens in a black box to public spaces and the marketplaces, the combination of music and art and retail and sort of chaos and the messy vitality that happened in Mexico, I think was probably the defining thing. And what started me out was really an exploration of lighting and how lighting could be used in architecture, and it led to just a fantastic series of experiences.
Light is at the center of architecture, isn't it? I mean,
it really
how
is.
you use light and how you access light and how
people look, how they feel is really all defined by light.
Right. This book is called Pleasure, the Architecture and Design of the Rockwell Group, and we should say that the Rockwell Group, if you go to David's office, you will see that there are a lot of very interesting and smart professionals down there. Think of Lower Manhattan, think of Hairspray, think of the River Project, think of so many things that he is involved in. I mean, it suggests a curious mind and a certain energy level that is remarkable. Thank you for coming.
Thanks for having me back.
Pleasure to see you. We'll be right back. Stay with us.